Welcome. This is the Rip Griffin Show podcast, a baseball podcast for baseball fans of all ages. Now, here's your host, Rip Griffin.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy New Year. Welcome to the first episode of 2021. I'm excited to be here. I am back after my week-long vacation, thanks to Zach from the Nest for filling in for me. But I've got my co-host with me, Brad Chandler. Brad, Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year, bro. It's good seeing you. I feel like I haven't seen you all year.
I know. It's crazy. It's, I kind of missed you, man. I'll be honest.
Your texts don't say much.
Well, anyways, we are back. First episode of 2021, and we've got an awesome guest with us joining us tonight. He is the co-host of Locked On Astros, a creator from Stros 411, Mr. Brett Chancey. Brett, how's it going, man?
Man, it's going great. Thank you guys for having me on. Just want to say you guys are doing a bang-up job on the show. I've been watching. I like the fact that I can watch or listen to your show. So if y'all are watching this and you want to get in your car, don't miss out the Rip Griffin Show. You can get it pretty much anywhere you get podcasts, I'm sure. Like you said, I'm a co-host of Locked On Astros. Our first chair is Eric Heisman. He's at Eric Talk Stros on Twitter. I'm at Htown Wheelhouse on Twitter. And also run Stros 411. We got about 31,000 followers. I didn't start it. It was handed to me a couple years ago. And I've done a lot to change the image of the page to be a positive social media outlet. And what time is this in Astros history? Do we need positive Astros talk? So it has been somewhat of an animal, but I've been able to control it. And you can find us Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. So thanks for having me on, guys.
Oh, absolutely. We appreciate you taking the time to join us to talk about the Houston Astros, which is
thanks for plugging the show as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
But one of the things our setup is we kind of do a little bit of news in the first segment. We'll kind of talk about what's been going on, which is right now it's not really a whole lot since it's been
it's been going so slow this offseason.
Very, very slow. And then we'll kind of jump into the second segment. We'll kind of talk about the team. We'll kind of get your perspective on things. And then towards the end, we've got a couple players of the week that we'll talk to you about. So lots going on this episode of first episode of 2021. But one of the things we'll kind of jump into the news real quick is the fact that, Brad, your Boston Red Sox made a hire with the first female professional baseball coach. And her name is Bianca Smith. That is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, for a team that gets a lot of slack for not being with the African American culture, now that Jackie Bradley Jr. is a free agent and there's a possibility that he doesn't return to the Boston Red Sox, there isn't an African American player on the team. They get a lot of slack for that situation, and I think this is kind of like a step in the right direction for them. Not only did they hire a female, but they hired a female of color, and it's just like, I think this is a positive way to make that step forward.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a great hire. She's definitely qualified, probably along the same lines of Kim Ng down in Miami. She's been through various organizations as far as internships. I think one was with the Texas Rangers. I don't recall the second one. But, yeah, she's been kind of doing her own thing, and now she gets her chance to kind of work down there in the player development side within the Boston Red Sox down there in Florida. So it's going to be exciting for them as they, progress, going forward.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of groundbreaking things going on with MLB. I know you guys covered it when you talked about how MLB is recognizing the Negro Leagues as being professional baseball players. I mean, it's not that we needed MLB to tell us that they were professionals, because I always believed that they were professionals, but now they're getting this major league status. Like you said, Kim Ng, and then this hire by the Red Sox. There are a lot, even in other sports. You've got the Greg Popovich's assistant in San Antonio, right. And I feel bad I can't recall her name off the top of my head, but she has been kind of the trailblazer in the NBA. And I don't know if you paid attention to college football there, or just like NBA basketball, there are female refs. And so it's a very awesome time to be in sports, because we're seeing a lot of females come into the game where they were just in the stands and being fans, and they haven't really been allowed in these leadership roles. They're very qualified. They love the game. Why not have them a part? I think it's great. I think it's great for everybody around.
So the coach that you were talking about for the San Antonio Spurs is Becky Hammon.
Okay,
Yes.
Becky Hammon. Yeah, I knew. I just could not remember off the top of my head, so I do apologize.
That's all right. That's what Google's for.
But no, I mean that's great that we're starting to see a little bit more diversity within these professional sports. You know, a lot of people say, you know, it's a men's industry, you know, but these women can go out there and they can dominate and can show that they are, you know, well-rounded and, you know, educated, and whatever it is that they are prepared, and they can hold their own within, you know, a profession that is male dominated. So great to see that these women are starting to come to the forefront of these organizations.
There's also, you know, I was just seeing something on Twitter not too long ago. There's this female, there's this girl who's playing baseball, not softball. She's a catcher, she's a pitcher, and she's got a wicked pop-up time. Her throw is a little, you know, obviously like a little bit slower because of her age. She's in college and whatnot, but she's going to end up, I got to figure out her name. I was actually just trying to look it up. Her pop-up time is pretty good. Her throw, she's gonna be able to get there to like where she could throw that runner out at second. You know, her pitching, she's got some nasty pitches. You guys keep talking. I'll try and find this.
Well, you know, I think if you look into the history of females in baseball, you know, there have been several that have made it to the minor leagues, but never progressed beyond that. And whenever that does happen, because I'm assuming it will occur at some point,
It's definitely going to happen.
Into baseball. I think baseball is the most likely sport to happen, but when it does, she's going to be an outstanding talent. Because we all know that there's only like 750 major league players. So, you know, it's not an easy league. It's not like just anybody comes in, right? And so who knows, maybe it'll happen in our lifetime. And I think if someone can make it and they've got the talent and they grade out like everyone else, why not give them a shot?
Oh, absolutely. There was a girl, and that was in the Little League World Series. Was it Monet Davis? Is that her name?
Yeah.
You know, she was an electric pitcher, and that can dominate at that level. I'm not sure quite what happened to her after that, but I mean, you know, we're starting to see more and more, you know, these girls and these women that are playing the sports. So, like you said, Brett, I think you know, we'll have, you know, some playing hopefully in the big leagues, you know, pretty soon. So, but you know, congratulations to Bianca Smith for being the first female African American coach to play in professional baseball, or coach in professional baseball. Excuse me. See, I'm trying to get her to play, but we'll kind of move on a little bit here. We're going to touch on this subject here in just a minute, but Robbie Grossman signed a 2-year deal with the Detroit Tigers. 2 years, $10 million plus bonuses. He's going to be the everyday left fielder for the Tigers. We'll kind of talk about how that scenario kind of fits into the Astros here in just a minute. And then the Dodgers are re-signing a Blake Treinen. Is that how you say his name? Treinen?
Yeah.
Treinen. Thank you. I practiced that all day, and of course I messed it up before we get on the show. But they re-signed him to a 2-year, $17.5 million deal, which includes an $8 million club option or a $1.5 million buyout for 2023. So here's the question: where is that going to leave Kenley Jansen? Because they just signed Corey Knebel. They've got just re-signed Blake. Now, Jansen's their top closer as far as pay. I think he's around $20 million a year.
Yeah, he's definitely at $20 million, which is ridiculous.
So what begs the question for Kenley Jansen? Do the Dodgers, are they just going to give up on him, or are they bringing in these extra guys for possibly depth?
So I kind of want to step in on this one real quick. So Kenley Jansen is possibly, I think this is his last year, 2021, of his contract. So they're obviously trying to build a little bit of depth around the relief pitchers. I think that either Bruce Gatterall is going to end up as their closer, or what I'm hearing is that Liam Hendricks is being looked at by them, and I believe Brad Hand is also being looked at by them. So it could be a fact that like they're just trying to like do the whole Kenley Jansen thing, see how it works out. Because I believe it was last year he was running into a little bit of trouble, and they weren't too like I don't know, keen on having him pitching the last inning, closing out the game. So 2021, maybe they're trying to figure out who his replacement's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. He's also going to be, he's 33 this year. He'll be 34 next year, obviously. But man, this guy is working the back end of his $68 million contract. Pretty amazing that he was able to garner a deal like this with the history that he had going back to 2017 in the World Series, against the Houston Astros. And since then has been a big question mark in the playoffs for them. I remember when he went in, a lot of Rays fans were like, yes, Kenley Jansen's in. Like, we got a chance, and the poor guy. And I think he went through some things. There was an injury or something he went through, or something he was dealing with psychologically. He was kind of down a little bit. But I think gone are the days of these closers getting paid $20 million. I think Liam Hendricks comes in at the highest around 16, this year. If someone signed him, I don't think,
Would you believe me if I told you he was getting paid $5.3 million last year?
Yeah, dude. I looked up his Spotrac, and we've been kind of hitting on him a little bit on Locked On, and but for the last 2 years, he has been the best closer in baseball, and he right now, I think he would get more, guys. I think he would get more if we weren't in the situation we were in financially across the league. He would get close to what Kenley Jansen got. Because he's only 31 to 32, I believe. And so you give him a 3-4 year contract. He grades out at about 15.6 per year is what his market value is.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see what, how this COVID offseason pans out, especially with these relievers and these other free agents that are out there. But, Liam Hendricks is, one of the guys that's probably going to be the most talked about. Of course, Brad Hand as well. But, we'll kind of touch on, because I kind of have something, set up for Liam Hendricks when we get to the team here in just a minute, Brett.
Okay.
But, of course, and then there is also, George Springer is still out there. The Blue Jays had supposedly made him an offer. I don't know if it's actually official or not. But it was around 5 years, but it was way under that $150 million that he's looking for.
Yeah, George Springer is one of those guys that he is going to demand the highest amount of money. He is ranked 8th all time on leadoff home runs. He has some of the most, postseason home runs. He is clutch in the postseason. He's a World Series MVP, and say what you want about the 2017 World Series. He's still 2017 World Series MVP, and that's got to say something when it comes to the contract. So,
right.
I originally had heard, guys, and this was like rumor and fodder, but originally I heard that the Mets were wanting to offer him around $200 million, and I was like, that seems like a lot. For his age. I'm thinking if he was 26, maybe they offer him that. But I think he gets no less than 150. And I have a hard time believing that Steve Cohen is going to let the Blue Jays outbid him with as deep as his pockets are.
I've been thinking that I've been thinking that he was going to the Mets, and the Blue Jays had no chance. I don't know what's going on up in Toronto, but Toronto's interested in everybody so far. I guess Bauer's been talking to them. Liam Hendricks was seen leaving their spring training facility. They're talking with Springer. I'm like, what's going on in Toronto? Like, they're getting ready to rebuild a stadium too. They're talking about that. So I know that doesn't have much to have anything to do with the payroll, but I mean, where's this money coming from? You don't see too many fans in the stands. It's kind of like if Tampa Bay went ahead and started buying players.
I can't help but wonder if the Blue Jays are just all talk, just trying to be in the conversation, because they really haven't been relevant until they've got Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, Kevin Biggio. Since those guys came up, the Blue Jays have kind of started to take off, and I can't help but wonder if it's just more relevance.
I mean, they're talking. They're also talking DJ LeMahieu, which would be a huge slap to the face to the New York Yankees.
Right.
I'm just, I don't know, man. As a fan of the Red Sox and being in the AL East, I don't want them getting any of these guys.
I think it has to do with cap space, doesn't it? I mean, don't they have, so their like payroll. Their highest paid player is Ryu at 20, then Tanner Roark at 12, Grich at 10, and then it goes down from there. Robbie Ray 8, Hernandez 4, Gurriel 3. So, I mean, they're not paying a whole lot of money out of pocket right now. A lot of their younger stars are still in their rookie deals. Cavan, Guerrero Jr., Bichette, those guys. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they went and got Springer. I mean, they're in on every person that's out there. They're in on Bauer. They're in on, what I'm saying? They're in on Hendricks was seen visiting their facility this last week. I mean, I think they total payroll is only $70 million. I mean, they've got $82 million to play with.
That's
a lot. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the Blue Jays do. They are definitely the talk of the conversation this offseason. Of course, obviously the Mets are too, with the purchase.
Don't forget the Padres.
The Padres, yes, we can't forget them because they're in it to win it now.
They're in it for a first round exit. Good job, San Diego.
Oh man,
I'm sorry. They celebrate a playoff berth like they won a World Series.
You know what? There was the first playoff appearance since 2003?
Since like King Eddie or something.
Whatever, man. You've got Tatis Jr., you got Manny Machado. You need to get, Hosmer too. So my only problem with them, and I'm not going to get too far into this, is the fact that their pitchers that they picked up have been hurt recently. You got Darvish that spent some time on the IL. You've got Snell that spent some time on the IL, and now you got Clevenger who's on the IL. He's getting Tommy John surgery. They gave him a 2-year contract, knowing he's going to be out for 1 year.
Dude, and for real,
it doesn't make sense, but that's why we're not in the front office of the San Diego Padres. But.
True.
But some good news coming out of baseball is the possibility of spring training starting on time. So maybe we might have a start of the season starting in April. But from what I'm hearing, that this could be a possibly just start spring training and just keep going until May whenever the season actually does start. So I don't know.
So spring training I talked about this on another on a YouTube thing that I do, and it seems like the spring training is going to start on time, according to, I believe it was Evan Drellick. He reported it through The Athletic. This could be good, and it seems like they have to kind of start the season on time, because, the owners were out of money. It didn't make much profit last year, And there's the possibility that there's going to be a strike next year because of the CBA. And then you've got this year where there could be a possibility of, like, I don't know, 40% stadium capacity. And that's going to be like where, like, maybe like midsummer or something like that. So that's where their money's going to come from. So they need to make something somewhere. So, and if they piss off the players when it comes time for the agreement, that's more pull for the players. So the players really kind of have the owners by, the cojones.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think with as much money as they've lost, you will see a hard push for Major League Baseball to have fans. Also, I do think it depends on geographic location and restrictions and COVID rates and all that stuff. Where in Texas, I think we're fine. I mean, we had a World Series in Texas, where when you had games in California, there were no fans. So it's like, it's going to impact, I think, the West Coast teams and the Northeast teams a lot harder than it is maybe the Midwest, maybe Florida, Texas. I think geographic region and what's going on is going to have a lot to do with what they allow and don't allow. But the owners, I promise you, are going to push. I didn't realize how much the revenue came from actual people coming through the gate, people buying food. And, here's what people don't understand. These billionaires aren't just sitting on like piles of cash at their house, wiping their nose with those. I mean, they don't all have liquid assets. I just interviewed the owner of the Sugarland Skeeters, and, he said it's a real business. It's really tough. Like he said, we've been fortunate. We had to lay a whole bunch of people off. But people, just because they're a billionaire owner of a team doesn't mean they have $1 billion. It means they're what they have total invested. They have that. That doesn't mean they have it just out there to hand out. And when money's not coming in, money's not going out.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. If it starts on time, that would be fantastic, especially for us who cover the game of baseball and talk baseball, and also the players and the fans that want to go out and actually see the games in person, trying to get some sort of normalcy with this whole COVID thing going on. But we'll see what happens. Spring training is only 41 days away, at least, before pitchers and catchers report. Opening days, less than 85. So, we're getting closer, and hopefully Major League Baseball will be able to act on some sort of plan to get, the season started on time, hopefully. So, but to kind of finish up the news real quick here, the minor league baseball season is actually going to be delayed. Don't know how long.
So my understanding on this subject is that AAA is going to start on time, or there's a possibility of AAA starting on time, but AA and lower class minor league affiliated teams, I believe from what I heard is that they're going to be delayed. So AAA will start on time, but like AA, single A, all those are going to be delayed.
Yeah, because Sugarland had they had their own independent league that they ran. They actually had Roger Clemens and Kobe Clemens. They all they each had a team, and they had current college players and things like that out there. And they I think they were at 25% capacity is what the Sugarland allowed them. So from what Kevin Zlotnick, the owner of the Skeeters, said, that the plans are for them to start on time to have a full season.
Well, hopefully the season will start, because I know these guys, especially these minor league players, I mean, they want to get this experience so they can get called up to the big leagues. And, the all training sites, I'm sure, are great. They get the workouts in, but I mean, they need to get into competition, facing opposing batters that are not on the same team. So, hopefully we can have a minor league season, so we can, for us, go catch out the Skeeters or the Hooks, or, Brad, your AAA and AA affiliates there in the Connecticut area.
Hey man, I'm like 20 minutes away from the Hartford Yard Goats. My company that I work for, they have season tickets right behind home plate. So
hey, there you go.
If somebody doesn't want to go to a weekday game, they come to me with all the tickets. I'm like, hey, you want to go? So
heck yeah. So that's going to kind of cover the news. Unless you guys got any other news that maybe we missed or didn't talk about.
No.
So let's go ahead and jump into our team of the week, which is the Houston Astros. So,
I'm busted balls. I'm busted balls.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. It just.
That's actually to be honest. That's actually how you and I met on Twitter. Is because I was talking smack about the Houston Astros, and then you and I actually started talking, and it was you and what's his name, Schwab,
Michael Schwab.
Michael Schwab.
I was talking to both of you, and it came down to it was like, you can sit here and talk all this shit. Excuse my language, but you can talk all this shit about the Houston Astros doing what they did in 2017, and I was up there like, yeah, you got to take away the trophy, you got to take away the championship, but then it's like, you think about it, they're not the only damn team out there that has done anything like that. There's teams like you had the Black Sox, my Boston Red Sox, for crying out loud. There's more teams out there that steal signs, do things probably not as big as the Houston Astros, but people do stealing signs has been a thing. And Jeff and I, or Rip, sorry, have talked about this.
Man.
Who's this Jeff?
Rip,
Who's this Jeff?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Man, come on, throwing out my secrets, man.
See, if you didn't say anything, nobody would know. But we've talked about it numerous times because, obviously he's an Astros fan. And it's like the whole sign stealings and all that stuff has been going on since day one.
Right.
So here's the thing.
And just real quick before you get into it, I now find myself on the other side of it, where like I hear people bashing on the Astros before 2017, and I'm just like, shut up, just shut up, because if you would know what your team has done, then you wouldn't be talking.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So I caught a clip from HBO Sports that aired years ago, and it was the shot heard around the world, the 1951 World Series, and it was the guy that helped relay the signs. It was the guy that showed the telescope that he used from center field, the buzzer and the scoreboard that he used to alert the hitter. And this guy, and I forget the guy's name, whoever hit this shot heard around the world. Sorry, baseball nerds are like, he doesn't know his name, but I'm sorry, I don't know his name. He hit 5 home runs in 2 games. And this is what they said. They said we would use a scheme. We would go up by 4 or 5 runs. And then when the other team, whoever they were playing, got closer, like they would stop, they would shut it down. And then when they got closer, they would go back to it. This dude hit 2 home runs all year. He hit 5 home runs in like 2 games or like in that series or something. It was crazy. But see, anytime an Astros fan brings that up, people automatically say you're justifying it. No, I'm not justifying it. I do think the reason why they use a trash can is because they didn't have a professional hitter hitting the trash can. And AJ Hinch was a high contact guy. They wanted a high contact, high percentage shot of that bat or whatever it was hitting the trash can. That's why they use such a big object, because they're a high contact team, right? And I will end my little diatribe on this. I think the Astros banged trash cans in as many games as the Dodgers won in 2020 to win a World Series. How ironic is that? Anyways.
So the guy who hit the home run, the shot heard around the world or whatever, Bobby Thompson.
Bobby Thompson, yes. I'm sorry. I just kidding. I don't know my Indians. Was it the Indians and the Giants?
No, it was the Giants and the Dodgers.
Giants and the Dodgers, my bad. See, I don't know.
At the time, it was the Brooklyn Dodgers, and it was at the Polo Grounds.
Okay, thank you.
And it was the New York Giants and the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Okay, that's what it was. I couldn't recall. For some reason, I thought it was the Cleveland Indians. I don't know why. Anyways, or the Cleveland baseball team. Sorry.
Oh God, no! God, why? Oh my God, dude! I was just talking to Rip about this. There's, we'll talk off screen about that. Oh, someone
my goodness!
Did you tell him?
No.
Oh, okay. Because I there's like no way he could just be like, I'm gonna poke this guy.
I do like to poke the bear, but that was unintentional.
Yeah, that's why I asked him if he told you, because him and I had talked about this. We'll talk after.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about the current state of the Houston Astros. So right now they've got some key positions that they need to fill. Obviously, outfield is one of them. Not probably, is one of them. The bullpen, obviously, and then I don't know about you, Brett, but starting pitching maybe might need to throw in a veteran starter in there to kind of help solidify maybe the back end of that rotation. Obviously, with you got Greinke, you've got McCullers, you've got Framber Valdez, Jose Urquidy as well. That fifth starter spot is kind of one that I've always kind of questioned.
So right now on RotoChamp, I don't know if that's something that you guys use. It's showing that Christian Javier would be their number 5 starter if he's their projected 5th starter for 2021.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any qualms putting him number 5. You also got to remember that I think 2021 is the year that we finally see Forrest Whitley break into the major leagues. I think he starts in the bullpen, and then I think he earns a role maybe when they want to rest. Maybe they don't want to extend Christian Javier too much because he's going to be throwing more than he's ever thrown this year. I see, for me, the starting pitching I don't think is an issue. I think Lance McCullers is a year further removed from his Tommy John. I think Zach Greinke gets a full spring training. He comes in fully prepared. I think Framber Valdez is the ace of this ball club. I think Framber Valdez is going to be the ace because he psychologically put it together. Whatever he did to figure out with that psychologist, because we saw him pitch at Round Rock 2 years ago. My son and I went and interviewed Brandon Belak, Josh Rojas, and Colin McKee. Carlos Correa was doing his last rehab start there, and Framber Valdez was pitching. And Framber Valdez had like 5 walks, and he looked like he lacked confidence. And my son goes, he doesn't look comfortable. And he was like 10 at the time, and like a 10-year-old picked up on that. And now this guy comes back and has a stellar season in the season that you're not supposed to be stellar. I mean, it's 2020, it's COVID, it's shortened, it's Justin Verlander's out. And so, I mean, Justin Verlander out, everybody just counted the Astros out. I think this rotation is solid. I think this rotation, look at the Yankees rotation. We've got better pitchers. They've got Garrett Cole. That's all they have. They got Garrett Cole.
Else. They have Garrett Cole, and their number 2 starter right now, if they were to start the 2021 season, is Montgomery.
Yeah.
Jordan Montgomery. That's what
I'm saying. To me, the starting pitching does not pose an issue. I think Christian Javier is a solid 5. I think he'll eventually in his career be a 3. And no lower.
Okay. Now back to your Forrest Whitley. Now, I was just looking over something. There's something going on. There's he's got arm issues.
So if he should be, from what I understand, I know he's working out. I've been looking at some videos of him. He had some arm issues, and basically what had happened, he had changed his delivery. And I remember Brent Strom had told him to go back to a whipping motion. If you look up Forrest Whitley arm whip, I think on Instagram or somewhere, you can see where when he releases the ball, his arm literally goes under his chest and literally slaps his back. And he told him, he said, go back to high school. What made you successful? Don't change that. Go back to your original mechanics. And he got better. His last outing, in the taxi squad or whatever, like their simulated games he did, he had like 7 strikeouts in 3 innings or something like that. I mean, he struck out his last 7 batters that he faced whenever he pitched. And so I don't know. Is there news on him having arm issues right now?
I was just looking on RotoChamp, and they were saying, hold on, let me pull it up. Astros purchased the contract, and then like the last sentence was, the ceiling is still extremely high here, but the continued arm issues are obviously worrisome. So they don't really show too much. They they don't really say too much about his arm or his delivery.
Yeah, I think it's something that's been lingering. I do believe that he will break into the major leagues this year. But like I said, I think he starts in the bullpen. I think you use him, you pull a starter in the fifth inning, or you do the whole like piggyback thing where like he pitches like 3 or 4 innings and then you bring someone else to pitch 3 or 4 innings. Yeah, like almost like an opener, to give him the feel of a starter. But who knows? This is Dusty Baker, and he actually adjusted this last year. He kind of did some new school things. He wasn't old school Dusty sometimes he was. And
my favorite thing that Dusty did this year was I don't remember what game it was. It was in the playoffs. Zach Greinke was pitching, and you could tell he was tired. But Dusty was like, "I'm not pulling him out," even though I'm pretty sure upper management was like, "Hey, you need to pull him out," and he's like, "Nope, he's finishing this inning," and he made the right call. I believe it was in the ALDS.
Yeah, I think it was the AL.
I believe so. Was it ALCS or ALDS?
I think it was ALCS against the Rays. I think it was Game 4 or Game 5.
Okay, yeah, yes, I think that's correct, because after that game, he said for the first time in 2 years, I felt like they had confidence in me. I was like, whoa, step back.
Yeah.
I mean, that was huge, wasn't it, Rip?
It
was Game 4 of the ALCS. You're right.
Yeah. And that's good. I mean, that gives Greinke that confidence because he's, a very quiet, not so much outspoken player. And, for Dusty Baker to come in and give him that vote of confidence, I think when he goes into, especially this offseason and he goes into, spring training, I think he's going to be more confident. Like you were saying earlier, we're going to see Greinke kind of come into his own mold, and it's going to be exciting to see what he can do in 2021.
Definitely.
But I think the Christian Javier thing, I see him more as a reliever right now, just because of, he was using that type of, he was thrown into that situation a lot in not spring training, in the minor leagues. And then, of course, Dusty used him in the games, was it Game 1 or Game 2 of the wild card, against the Twins. And so I think Javier will kind of fit that mold and maybe jump into that fifth spot starter every now and then. But I guess that all depends on whether or not Justin Verlander comes back next season. He said that he wants to.
So I was actually I sent a message to I can't call you by your real name because I don't know you that way. I'm just going to call you Htown. So I was talking to Htown beforehand, and I saw something that said that the Astros general manager James Click said in an interview on MLB Network. Now this was December 18th on MLB Network Radio that Justin Verlander, who's out with an elbow injury, told him he might be able to pitch in relief in September or October of 2021. So it looks like Verlander's trying to come back as soon as possible.
Yeah, Verlander's a bulldog, and we actually addressed this with Clay Hensley. Clay pitched in the majors. He was on the Giants 2012 World Series team, and he didn't deal with Tommy John, but he dealt with a shoulder surgery. And he said someone like Justin Verlander is going to have that mindset. Now, whether it happens or not, he said that's a pretty progressive recovery timetable, because he said Tommy John, he said if he was 28 or 29, then I say that definitely happens. But the fact that he, says that now, as old as he is, he says it would be nice. Maybe the Astros need that in the back of their mind. But he said he wouldn't be surprised if he didn't end up coming back because of his age. But it all depends on his recovery and what he does, and if he's ready to stretch that arm out.
That would be a nice. That would be a nice addition at that time of the year,
especially
if you're making a playoff run.
Oh yeah, after they win the AL West, why not have Justin Verlander there for the for the ALDS to take on the wild
So
card.
we already
Yankees,
making predictions?
Yeah. Oh, dude, I've got my predictions already set, brother.
I'm predicting the Red Sox are probably the bottom 2-3.
Ooh.
No, I
And
got
the
the Red
AL
Sox
East.
surprising.
AL
No,
East.
Okay.
I got the Red Sox. I'm joking. I got the Red Sox over the Blue Jays.
Oh no, man.
I'm
I
kidding
got the
right
Red
now.
Sox. I got the Red Sox over the Orioles and the Rays.
Wow. Well, I think the Rays have kind of put themselves in a rebuild position, so I can
They're
see
like
that happening.
always in a rebuild position. Let's get back on track here now.
So, okay, this is kind of what I wanted to get your opinion on, Brett, because the Astros passed on David Dahl. They passed on Robbie Grossman. So, and those two have already signed with different teams. So, does this mean that the Astros are possibly trying to re-sign Michael Brantley?
I believe so. I believe relief pitching is their first, like their main priority. But I think position wise, Brantley is that. There's a local, AM talk show host here named Michael Berry, and he lives in the same neighborhood that Springer and Brantley live in. He said, "I'm just going to say this, folks. This was like 2 weeks ago." He said, "Springer's house is for sale. It's been on the market. Brantley, I've never seen a single realtor come to his house. His house is not for sale. So he doesn't look to be going anywhere, folks." So, and that could mean a lot of things, but the Astros have stated they want Brantley back. And I believe that even though Springer is gone, I thought Springer might have to stay to keep Brantley. But why wouldn't Brantley want to stay if the Astros can convince him that they have another long playoff run or two in them? Why would Brantley want to go somewhere else if they weren't a contender or into the National League? He needs to stay here because he'll play left field, but they're also going to throw him in at DH because they've got to get Yordan. He won't just be the DH. I think Brantley's about I joked and said he's a 69% chance of staying in Houston. But I like his chances to be between 60 and 70% of re-signing in Houston. I think that's one of the deals they do get done.
So I was reading something again. I got to figure out where this was, but my understanding is Michael Brantley wants to stay in Houston.
I've heard the same things.
Wanting to stay in your previous team's area and staying there are two different things. I know he's getting interest from multiple different teams. I know he's been getting interest from the Yankees, which it seems like the Yankees need to stay away from outfielders. I don't know why they keep going for outfielders, but I mean, I think Brantley has a better shot staying with Houston.
I agree.
Would I like Brantley in Boston? Absolutely. I just think he's going to end up staying in Houston myself.
What if we had Brantley and Jackie Bradley Jr.? Would that break your heart?
So I'm not really upset with Jackie Bradley Jr. I mean, it's kind of disappointing if that happens where he doesn't come back to Boston, which there's still a chance. But I know he's being talked to, the Astros. I know the Blue Jays are looking at him, but like we said earlier, they're looking at everybody. I think he's actually like a backup plan for the Mets if they don't get Springer or something like that, which doesn't make sense because that's going from like up here to like down here for hitting. I mean, Bradley Jr. is definitely a better defensive player in my opinion, but Springer's a better all-around player.
Hey,
But,
I have a question. Rip. Can I add a question into the Astros conversation and see what you think about something?
Yeah.
Because I know what my opinion is on this. What do you think about the whole Yasiel Puig rumors about Houston talking to Puig? What do you like or not like Puig on this team?
Puig is a interesting character. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, he does some things that are very, head scratching, but,
He's going to lick the bat.
Lick the bat. Oh, jeez. I could have done without that, but
hey, that's a Puig thing. Come on.
And I'm trying to be somewhat I'm going to digress, but he is a good defender. I will say that he can play defense. Sometimes in his offense, I mean, the strikeouts are there. Sometimes he's got good power, but I just don't see Puig as a good fit for Houston. I think that if they want to try to kind of rebuild the persona that everybody has pegged them out to be, I think they should just stay away from Puig for right now. If something comes up and they need an outfielder, say they don't sign Jackie Brantley Jr., Springer is gone, and they need somebody to kind of help fill in that void at outfield, based on if Miles Straw doesn't pan out, then maybe go out and get him for maybe a rental. But as far as actually going out and trying to sign him and actually get him a roster spot, I don't think it's a good fit for Houston.
So I'm going to chime in here. I get it. I'm just going to piggyback off of what Rip said. I honestly don't think that he would be a good fit for the Houston Astros simply because of Dusty Baker. Baker's not going to put up with any bullshit. And, again, apology for the cursing there, but he's not going to put up with Yasiel Puig, doing whatever he wants. And Yasiel Puig's going to need somebody who has the ability to like bring him down, someone like, I'm just going to throw it out there, an Alex Cora. Bilingual. He can talk to him in both, Spanish and English. And I'm not saying that Dusty Baker's not a player's manager, but, Cora, that type of manager, is going to be able to take a Yasiel Puig and be like, all right, dude, you got to cut the crap. So that's why it has nothing to do with the fact that his ability to play the game, to hit or whatever. But
I think we lost Brett.
Yeah, it seems like we did. But I feel like he's just not a good fit for them.
Right. I have to agree 100%. I just don't see the Astros going back or trying to
welcome
sign him.
Back.
And Brett's back.
Yeah, I guess it was. I mean, I think the camera knew what I was going to do because I was just going to say, Yasiel Puig, I hate the idea. I mean, I'm going to lose George Springer and we're going to gain Yasiel Puig. That's absolutely asinine. I do not want him. I don't like him as a player. Yeah, he can hit home runs. He's got the arm of Thor, whatever. I don't like the player. I didn't like really when we signed Osuna. I don't like signing Puig. I think we have an image issue. And if the Astros front office cares about the long-term image and cares about getting out from the shadow of any controversy, the last guy you need to sign is Yasiel Puig. I welcome him at any other team. He has talent and he can play. Let him play wherever he wants, just not in my ballpark. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard what I was saying. The one main reason why I don't think that he would fit the Astros is simply because I don't think Dusty Baker's going to deal with it.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I heard that, and I agree with that 100%. And Dusty Baker. On that note, Dusty Baker. When he brought the team together, I remember the image of him talking to the team when they were at the playoffs and before, I guess it was game 6 or whatever. And then that was the game or game 5 or, whenever Carlos Correa hit that home run and that hit the walk-off. And Dusty Baker had a lot of people doubting him. I doubted him along the way. I wasn't sure, I didn't like some of the pitching moves. And I guess when you get accustomed to someone like AJ Hinch, you really kind of fall in love with his managerial style. And then when it changes, because we're adults, we're like, oh, we say we want change, but we really don't want it. But right. I think he's going to be great for 2021. I think in a longer season, I think things are going to pan out in his favor more than they don't, to be honest.
It's because he's not just an analytic person. He's, like I said before, he's the type of person that can actually manage.
Right.
Yeah. Old school. Old school Dusty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of baseball's missing is that old school managerial feel to it. I mean, look what happened to the analytics in, I believe it was Game 6 of the World Series. They took Blake Snell out after 70-something pitches, and the guy was dealing and winning. Oh, we don't want him throwing to the team, to the guys for their third time. Whatever.
Yeah. Do you ever think Bobby Cox would take out Greg Max in that situation? No.
No.
Greg Maddux would be like Bobby. He'd be like Bobby, go smoke another cigarette in the dugout.
Greg Maddux is gonna paint the corners, bro. Calm down.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we don't see pitchers. I mean, other than those that are got no hitters going on, or the team is up by so many runs, but we don't see pitchers going into that third time in the lineup, and that's where the real baseball is. You got to be able to, mix up your pitches and be able to keep the batters off balance. I mean, that's where the it's us or me versus you comes in, and that's the interesting, fun thing about baseball. So just kind of wrap up this segment real quick here. There's a couple prospects that are making some headway, especially down south in the Dominican League. Jose Siri and Pedro Leon. So I want to get your take real quick, Brett. Do you see these guys kind of making an impact in 2021?
Well, I just heard today that the Astros have 100% intention of signing Pedro Leon on January 15th or 20 or whenever the date is to sign national players. That it is an inevitability. There's just a date's got to get here. They're going to sign him. I think Pedro Leon, if they don't shore up center field, if Miles Straw is a center fielder, I think you see him come up in 2021. I don't think there's any need to rush him if you don't sign a big player. Now, about Siri, he's been, I mean, he's got some pop. He's been playing really well. But I think the player to watch is Jeremy Pena. This kid is stacked and jacked. He's a 5-tool player. He will come up if there is an injury or an IL stint, I believe, with either Correa or Altuve. And this kid, I think, is ready to make an impact now. The problem is you got Jose Altuve and Carlos Correa in the coffers.
Right.
And so I think Jeremy Pena is a guy that if you got to bring him up, you need him, you find a spot for him. You put him anywhere you can because he is the real deal. And to me, the sky's the limit. Siri is coming back on the radar. But, that's the thing. I'll just wrap this up with saying this, where I know the Astros don't have the best minor league system. We know that. There are some surprisingly good young talents. And 2 or 3 years out, we got guys coming up like Corey Lee. We got the Santos kid out of New York. He's about 3 years out. But 2 or 3 years down the road, we got some prospects that if they hold on to and play their cards right. The Astros, I think, have a chance to be competitive for several years to come. Maybe they're not World Series favorites every year, but I think they're legitimate out in AL West playoff contenders. And I mean, the West is going to West. The West is going to do what they do. So
right. So that kind of, you brought up Jeremy Pena, and that kind of brings us into our next segment, which we usually do a player of the week, which is voted on by the listeners on Twitter. So with Jeremy Pena kind of waiting in the wings, and we've got Carlos Correa. Carlos Correa is pretty much, we're going to dub him the captain of the team based on what we've seen starting after the whole science thing came out and kind of his interview when he told everybody just, to shut the F up, to what he did in game 5 of the ALCS when Framber Valdez got a little out of control. And he got in his face and he kind of told him to buckle down, which, I mean, I don't know what he said, but I'm going to assume that's what he said.
He probably used a little more colorful words.
Trying to get this back to PG. But right. Anyways,
I said colorful. I didn't say the words.
I'm just starting. No, I'm going to digress. But anyways, Correa is the leader of this team, and he's coming into his free agent year in 2021. So my question is, do the Astros go out and try to re-sign him with Jeremy Pena kind of waiting in the wings, or do they possibly let Correa walk and fill that void with Pena?
That is a very, very good question, because I've been really thinking about how do you navigate those waters with Pena being a lot more ready going into this year than I thought he would be. That's tough, because if you do sign Correa, then you still got Bregman, you've still got Altuve.
I can't
Why
believe
not?
that was the first time we mentioned Bregman this entire episode.
Yeah,
I'm wearing his jersey
interesting.
too. Oh, I can't see it, but
There you go. Okay. Let me answer it, because I'm dancing around the question because I don't want to say some inevitable things. If Correa doesn't sign with us and goes on, I think we'll be fine at shortstop. Now, before y'all crucify me for saying he's as good as Carlos Correa, this kid has got amazing ability, and you'll see it when he gets here. If we don't sign Brantley, you can put Pena in left field. I'm sorry, you can teach a shortstop how to play left field. I mean,
Right.
Craig Biggio was an all-star catcher, an all-star second baseman, an all-star outfielder. You can do it. This kid, Jeremy Pena, is an absolute stud, and I think you find a place for him no matter what. Can you imagine Pedro Leon, Jeremy Pena in left, and Kyle Tucker in right field? I mean, that's a pretty crazy lineup. And then every once in a while, you DH him. You let Jordan go out there with his rusty knees at 22, and but it is definitely a good problem to have.
right.
So I saw something on the Bleacher Report, or it was the Bleacher Report talking about the Athletic. Ken Rosenthal was talking about the Astros are thinking about putting Correa out on the market, trying to get feelers, I'm assuming. The guy's he's only expected to get $7.4 million from arbitration. I mean, what team's going to...
Now, here's the thing. Ken Rosenthal, actually, that very tweet he sent out, I think 2 hours after that, he was like, sources tell me that they're not shopping him. So either someone gave him information and he shared it, or he read into something they told him and they clarified, no, we're not shopping Correa. I mean, that could be a million things. They could be holding their cards close to the vest.
True.
I mean, here's the thing. I think you need to sign Correa. I'm just going to say it. I think you need to sign Correa in spring training like you did Altuve and like you did Bregman. You don't have your core four anymore. Springer's gone. You have Bregman, you have Correa, you have Altuve. And like I said, you find a spot for Jeremy Pena. You make room for him. Hell, turn him into a first baseman, because Yuli Gurriel is probably gone after next year. Because of age and everything, and probably wanting a little more money. He may go play with his brother Lourdes up in Toronto.
Right. Definitely a lot of things that the Astros can have in the works as far as, after 2021. We'll see what happens with Carlos Correa. I would like to see him stick around as well. I think he's the catalyst of that team, especially that infield for sure. But now we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting to see how the Astros proceed, especially with this offseason, this slow offseason. Hopefully they can kind of, fill some key positions that they need to fill. So, but that's kind of all we got for tonight's episode, Brett. Is there anything else you want to touch about on the Astros?
No, I just think that Astros fans should actually be excited. I know we're kind of in the mourning process of losing George Springer. I think as sure as the sun comes up in the morning, George Springer is not going to be an Astro next year. But we have a lot of things to be thankful for that we have on this team. Altuve, I think, returns to form. I think the yips were the yips. I think he was going through a little bit of a mental wall because he cares so deeply, and I think he felt like people villainized him, and he's probably never been villainized in his entire life. So I think it was new territory for him. Where Bregman or Correa embraced it, Altuve, it really affected him. he comes back. I think Martin Maldonado does phenomenal with the young pitchers. I think Brent Strom's going to work magic with Javier. I think Framber Valdez is going to end up having the most wins on the Astros in 2021. And my bold prediction for the Astros, I didn't ask for this, but I'm telling you, Carlos Correa will be in the top 3 for the MVP race this year.
I could see him up in the I don't know about top 3, but I would definitely put him in the top 5 for MVPs. Okay. I still hate the guy, but I can't deny his talent. And I may not like him, but I can respect him. And he showed a lot. He shut me up during the playoffs this past season. and it takes a lot for me to just say, yeah, you were right. Okay, guy.
And I think he definitely should have won a Gold Glove too.
And I think the only reason why he didn't is because the way they rated it. They went off one specific rating, some defensive rating, and it was literally like a numbers thing. So I think in a full season, I think he wins Gold Glove hands down. To me, he is the best defensive shortstop in the American League. I mean, Brad, do you agree he's the best defensive shortstop in the American League?
I'm just not going to answer that.
Great restraint, brother. Great restraint.
Oh, with that, that's awesome. But
are y'all gonna give away something?
Yeah, we have a giveaway that we're gonna go and close the show with. So we have a Mike Trout. So it's a 2020 baseball card that we have been putting on Twitter. For those that have entered and retweeted and followed us, we are going to give this away right now.
All right.
So Brad, Brad. So I'm gonna let you do the honors on that one.
All right. Give me a quick second so I can X out of everything that's on here on my phone. So there were 26 people who actually followed and retweeted, and Htown, you were one of them, and one of our people that have been commenting, Cooter Green, was another one of them. So there was a total of 26 people, and as you can see, I don't know if you can see. No, can you? All right, so I got a generator right here that says 1 through 26, and let me see. We got number 9. And over here on let me see. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, you should be able to share your screen.
All right, let me get out of all my porn.
Hey, come on now.
Just kidding. All right, so.
I had another comment, but I'm not going to say it right now.
All right,
yeah.
So. Whatever, bro. Whatever. All right, so I'm gonna share my documents here. We got number 9, 82 and 13 Fox.
All right, 82.
I'm gonna look up on Twitter.
So I pulled them up. 82. Oh, doesn't exist now.
Well, does that mean we got to do it again?
Hold on. Let me double check here. Let me make sure I had the.
Was it 82-13?
I don't know what it was actually.
It's
82nd 13 Fox.
Okay.
80 found them.
I'm gonna go ahead and put it up here. 82.
Hold on. Don't even, because I'm going to share this, saying that I'm sending him. Thank you for entering the baseball card giveaway. Name and address. Here we go.
All right. Congratulations to 82nd 13
Fox
for entering into the Mike Trout giveaway. We thoroughly appreciate you following the show, as everybody that has followed the show. And we will get that out to you as soon as we get your address and everything. So
hold on. Are we giving him all the time he wants, or are we going to end up like, all right, you got 3 days to get in contact with us? What are we doing here?
I'd say we'll give him a couple of days until we get a response. If no response, we'll.
How about this? If there's no response between now and the next episode, we give it out again.
Okay, that
Hey, guys.
seems fair.
What's up?
Can I say something before we go?
Sure.
24 minutes ago, the Houston Astros are focused on signing free agent Liam Hendriks, according to Ken Rosenthal. Houston reportedly wanted to add Hendricks and reliever Blake Trinan, who re-signed with the Dodgers on Tuesday. So they had entered the Liam Hendricks sweepstakes. I knew they had talked to him, but the 24 minutes ago, they just posted that from Ken Rosenthal. So I think things are heating up for Hendricks to Houston. I think it may happen pretty soon.
Well, that was one of the things that was they were kind of in on, but hey, if they can get him, oh man, that
be
solidifies
amazing.
that bullpen. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully we'll have something. We'll know some news hopefully pretty soon.
We got to get something going. One of these big names are going to have to end up getting signed so that everything else can get moving. Either it be Bauer or JT Realmuto.
Right.
Or Springer. So
hey, I live probably about 30 minutes away from where Springer's parents are.
Well,
there you go. Talk to him. Just say, hey,
you go stalk them. Hey, we want George Springer. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we will wrap with that. Brett, thank you so much for joining us on this episode, our very first episode of 2021. And we're more than awesome to talk about the Houston Astros, and we thoroughly appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you. If you guys would check out Locked On Astros too on Apple, Google, or Spotify, it's your daily Astros podcast. Yeah, man. Hey, man, your team every day. It's Locked On Astros. Eric Heisman and I do. I feel like we do a really good job, and not only with our show, but I think you guys, Brent, y'all are like a whole baseball show, which is cool. We're Astros focused. You guys cover everything. And I think you guys do a great job, a professional job. I mean, talking about the teams without bias. I try to talk about baseball without bias, but it's difficult. So, check us out.
When you have when you're so passionate about your team. Like, I'm super passionate about the Boston Red Sox, but at the beginning of this year, I just wanted to open my horizon, and like, you wouldn't believe it. Like, I have 2 New York Yankee jerseys. I have 2 New York Yankee hats.
Wow.
And I wear them.
Wow. That's like, you need to go do some Hail Marys at the Catholic Church down the road.
But that's how open I am with my baseball now.
Awesome.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode, guys. We thoroughly appreciate everybody who's tuned in, who's entered into the contest to win the Mike Trout card. We will be back next week with a brand new episode. Brad, as always, thank you for everything that you do on the show. I thoroughly appreciate it.
So do we have anything planned for next week?
We do. Next week, it'll be the New York Yankees.
And
we have a special guest. Emily Nyman will be joining us from Breaking Balls podcast to talk everything the New York Yankees. So look forward to that. It will be on a special episode on Tuesday at, of course, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. So be sure to tune in. Yankees fans, we're coming to you next week. So that's the end of this episode, guys. Brett, thank you very much for joining us. And that's going to do it. Take care, guys.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Rip Griffin Show. Make sure to subscribe to the show on all the major podcast platforms. Follow Rip on Twitter @RipGriffin2.